Yeah. Okie dokie. Welcome back, everybody. We've got everybody. Why did we seem to have some empty chairs that we didn't have before?
Women.
I did say 2:30, didn't I?
It's not time for you on the train.
Right, well, I said I'm starting at 2:30, so I'm afraid I'm starting. It's simple as that. When we have any more breaks, we shall exactly be starting at the time I said, so, you know, take this as a lesson. But nice one, guys, because you lot got here. Okie dokie. Alright. Well, just getting on time, literally. I'm just saying to people, we're starting whether you like it or not. I'm not going to recap on anything I've said this morning, although occasionally it may relate back to what I've said, the occasional thing where it's relevant, but I'm not purposely going to say, oh, let's have a refresher of what we did this morning, because quite frankly, we've got so much stuff to get through, firstly, and secondly, those of you getting the videos and audios will go away with everything that was covered this morning and everything that we do cover on video and or audio tape and in printed format. So it's pointless, you can go home and watch it on video if you want a refresher. Okay? I'm not going to waste time doing things 5 times over. So, the human mind. Now, this is the way I explain it to clients in therapy. We're going to get back to stage in a little bit. At the end of the day, it's all bullshit, but we can't tell them that because obviously we want to go with their preconceived, it's all mystical, strange, something magical. So I have a picture, mine was a really crap one, and then Craig, I'm not sure where Craig is. Craig about? Hi Craig, good man, gave me a very nice colour version of it, which I now use instead of the crappy hand-drawn one by myself. You can see how wonderful my drawing is. But basically, it kind of explains it like this to the clients. You can actually show them a picture as well. People like to see so-called graphs and pictures and stuff to explain stuff that's supposed to be scientific and meaningful. And what it is, on the left-hand side, it's got a picture of a young kid, and it says child subconscious on the right-hand side, your left-hand side. But anyway, on that side it says child subconscious, okay? On that side it says adult unconscious, we've got a picture. In the middle it says like the gatekeeper and also analytical area. And the way I explain it to people in therapy is that, okay, you're coming to me as the adult and you're fully conscious when you walk into this consulting room. And you've got an area of your mind that in the business we call the analytical area. Makes it sound all very fancy, in keeping with the idea of it being mystical mumbo-jumbo. But it's also a bit like a gatekeeper, it's a bit like a nightclub bouncer, and it stops bad things getting in. But just occasionally, just like a nightclub bouncer, some rogue will get in the club and start selling drugs. Or some rogue will get into your subconscious and be rooted there and become a habit, or a phobia, or a fear. Okay? But unfortunately, you know, a lot of these things happen when you're a child. They say your formative years are 0 to 9. I mean, personally, I think that's a lot of crap as well, but a lot of the general public have heard statements like that before, so by using them, it makes you seem even more credible in the context of being something medical or scientific. But to say what it is, your subconscious acts just like a child. It's naughty sometimes, and it makes you do naughty things, like having habits. If that idea gets past with the gatekeeper and the child gets hold of it, start being rebellious and acting like a child and smoking. Okay? Or perhaps might act like a child and want a bit of a centre of attention, so gets this phobia of spiders, because then they can go, oh, mummy, mummy, mummy type of thing, reaction, and become the centre of attention. But you're an adult now, and you don't need that problem. So what we need to do, basically, is get a right good set of minders to come and kick the shit out of the doorman at the nightclub, so we can get inside and take the nasty person out who's selling the drugs. Or, you know, with your mind, it means we need to get past that gatekeeper so we can go in and take the habit away, or whatever your problem is. Because then, now as an adult, you're sat here saying to me, you really want to stop smoking, or you want to lose weight, or you want to gain confidence, or whatever it is. But fortunately, your subconscious, which is like the inner child, another phrase that people have heard from all these bloody self-help gurus, well, that is your subconscious, and that's making you do these things because it's being rebellious, it's being the child. So we've got to get past the gatekeeper, to basically smack the child and say, you don't do that anymore. And that's what we're going to do with hypnosis. And that's the way I explain it. So we're just going to get you very nicely relaxed. You might even go into a, proper sleep. You could be snoring away. Most people do. And we'll then be able to talk directly to the child, give it a good smack, sort your problem out, and then when we bring you back to full consciousness, as the adult you are now, wanting to achieve that aim, you won't have to worry about what the little kid's doing behind your back, and it's all resolved. And that's the way I explain it to clients in therapy. Now, at the end of the day, what I've just said there is a whole crock of shit, okay? But it sounds good to your clients. And it's in keeping with their ideas and what they've heard in the media about all this inner child work and, conscious, subconscious, reprogramming. It's all a bunch of crap. I won't repeat what I said this morning, but I refer you back to what I said, and that is the bottom line of why therapy works. But obviously you're not going to tell your client that. So by making it sound as though you're in keeping with what they believe. So, so what I heard on the telly about inner child, it's real really, isn't it? It's subconscious. Once again, you're playing along with their preconceptions. I'd also use that kind of explanation if you're doing like a group session for therapy, not the stage show as such, but getting people up and then doing a group session. Because ultimately when you're doing a group session, if you're going to charge them a ticket price, get loads of people there, you want it to last about an hour, hour and a half, so they feel they've got the ticket value. And as we said before, essentially the hypnosis side of it, you could do in 2 minutes once they paid for it. So you've got to waffle on and talk some crap and show them some nice diagrams. And if it's a smoking seminar, show them graphs about how many people die from smoking, and just so it actually looks like there's a reason why you've suddenly got a room full of people paying X amount of money to stop smoking. Okay, going on to other things which are relevant both to stage and therapy. Embedded commands. Now this sounds very contradictory. I've already said that hypnosis doesn't exist. So please look at everything I say in the context of the way I've been putting it across. If you like, it's a model, it's a way of approaching things. It will work better for some people than others, purely and simply because some people will get their head around the idea of approaching it as a con man better than others, okay? But embedded commands, sub-vocals, well, they get returned as sub-vocals in a lot of so-called serious texts. But examples that are real, and it's nothing more than just the way people react. It's like you've got a young kid, okay, going down the street, gets on the wall, starts running across the wall, and his mum's talking to her friend, and they're going shopping, and then suddenly she turns around and sees little Johnny on the wall and goes, "Johnny, don't do that, you'll fall." And guess what? 9 times out of 10, suddenly the kid will go, "Ah!" fall off the wall, do it. Because the mum said, "Don't do that, you will fall." Aside from the fact that the kid was probably concentrating about walking down the wall and suddenly got startled by his mum shouting. But that's kind of what they mean by embedded commands. I'll give you another example of that. Paul McKenna, his induction that he uses on his stage shows, and a lot of those, indirect trance inductions, they say, use phrases like, which I used earlier. You don't know if you want to go into trance now, or in a few moments' time, but go into a trance, you will all the same. And I know that sounds like I'm really, really overemphasising it, but it doesn't matter how much you overemphasise it, or even if you don't, if you just said you don't know if you want to go into trance now or in a few moments' time. On stage, it just sounds really forceful and it's in keeping with the image. In therapy, you can just do it dead relaxed. You don't know if you want to go into trance now or in a few moments' time. But go into trance, you will all the same. Again, it's tying in with the idea of the kind of things they want to hear. But if somebody wraps their mind around an idea, once you get an idea in your mind, it's like a seed. And what we do as hypnotists, and I use that term even though I don't like it, is we plant a seed, we start it watering so it germinates, and then we send people away so it sprouts and grows bigger in a therapeutic context. Barmaid and washing, sub-vocal commands that, another example. A few bars, if I want to wind up the barmaid, especially when they've seen stuff like the other night and they say, "Oh, right, you on the telly, please don't try and hypnotise me to get me into bed." I'll say to them, "Don't worry, I won't, but next time I come in here, love, next time I come in, I'll bring me washing for you. Is that a deal?" No, What's it? What the hell's he on about? Get me a drink, walk away. Not give them a chance to talk to me anymore. Next time I go for a drink, their curiosity factor, the seed is starting to germinate. What the heck was he on about? Okay? So I get another drink, she'll say, well, what do you mean washing? I say, well, next time I come in, not today, but next time I come in, I'm going to bring my washing for you. Go away again. That seed's now really starting to grow. It's starting to get a bit of a trunk there. It's like, what the flipping heck is he on about? And that's what you want, because then sooner or later, during the evening, she'll say, but, what do you mean washing? What are you on about? You say, well, no, I can't tell you. And when you tell somebody you can't tell them, it's a secret. Or they hate that. They want to know even more. And that waters the plant even more and makes the seed grow even more. The idea in the mind. You really engage their mind on one idea. Which if there was a genuine explanation of hypnosis, that would be as close as it would probably get, getting someone's mind engaged around one particular idea. So then, near the end of the night, you say, look, you keep asking me about this one, but if I told you what I've been on about all night, you promise you won't be offended. Now you're about to tell them something they think's a secret. They've got so curious they want to know. So when you say you promise you won't be offended, they want to know, they couldn't care less. It's like, no, yeah, I promise. And the moment they've said that, they can't possibly go mad at you. Because they've agreed. And then that's when you hit them with a punchline. It's not a joke, but you try this, some of you guys, okay? And see the reaction it gets. And then you punchline, well, what it is, you see, okay? I actually came in here the other day, but you didn't see me, and I saw you. And since then, I've thought about you so much, I've stained all my bedding. You see what reaction that gets? You planted a seed. Yeah, it takes a while for it to click in. Hang on, he's been playing with himself, thinking about me. You plant a seed, you get them curious, it starts to grow. When you give them the punchline, it makes them even more curious because they've still got to work out exactly what you mean. And when they get it, it wallop straight in there. Stuck, locked, glued in their head. Every time you go in that bar, she will serve you first before anybody else. I'm telling you. And she'll probably go bright red behind the bar when you just said that and get very warm. And I don't need to elaborate any more on that. But that's basically what I meant by embedded commands. They're used in everyday life, and they're just some examples of them. One of which I can see there's at least one or two guys going to be using the washing one. And on stage, or in therapy, they can be very useful. As I said, with, you don't know if you want to go into trance now or in a few moments' time. I think I've said enough about that. Right, in therapy, two-voice disorientation. An awful lot of people, judging by the amount of flipping self-help tapes that are out there, are bought at some point self-help tapes. In fact, a lot of people that I find that come to me for therapy have bought self-help tapes, found them not particularly useful, but it did ignite the idea, well, if I go and see a hypnotherapist for real, that will probably work better than the tape did. But on these tapes, they've heard like two voices, well, not two different, some of the kind of brain stuff's two different voices, but an awful lot of them is the same voice, but it's like earlier, the music I used, which, if I can just get it for you to give you an example, it will be disc C number 4, which I use on stage because you've got even more confusion going on. I'll just keep quiet for a minute because there's actual wording on there. Just counting backwards now in your mind. Backwards from 300 down to 1. See those numbers in your mind as you stare at the light. Eyes getting so heavy. So it's basically all the same kind of waffle that you'd be saying yourself over the mic. But every so often you cut it in. Sometimes you keep quiet and let them hear it through the speakers. Sometimes you speak at the same time, saying an exactly, completely different suggestion as what's coming out of the speakers. Purely and simply they're hearing your voice, especially in a stage scenario, but it works in therapy as well. I'm thinking, where the hell's his voice coming from? And that is total disorientation, which makes them feel, whoa, I can't handle this brain overload, this feels really weird, too much to handle, something strange is happening to me, oh, something strange, yeah, I'm being hypnotised, down, so I must be hypnotised because I'm feeling strange. So that's something to think about, you know, your music you use in therapy, or if you're doing it on stage initially when you're doing the inductions. Do your voiceover in advance, do the, you know, the deeper you get, the better you feel every breath, and then talk over it like I did earlier. Reverse psychology, this, which gets mentioned in a lot of the hypnotherapy text. I don't believe in hypnosis in the manner it's, you know, normally portrayed, but reverse psychology does work. And I found that out through getting bullied at school. I used to have the shit kicked out of me day in, day out. Because basically I was born on the circus, my dad was a circus clown, so, and I'd been a clown when I was younger, so I was the odd one out. So I always copped the grief. And I was never very good at fighting, I'm still not. And it got too much, and that's when I was doing magic and stuff at the time, performing-wise, as a kid. But I started reading self-help books, psychology books, and one of them mentioned reverse psychology. And it's the only thing that I really found in these arty-farty texts that actually worked in the real world. I didn't think he would, but these nutters that used to give me grief every day at school, one day they come up and start mouthing off. And instead of just like letting them get on with it, I'd say, that's it. Go on then, you know you want to witness, so just try, just do it now, get it over and done with, do it now, try. And they couldn't handle it, it was like, you're a fucking idiot, you! And they left me alone, I didn't get any more grief. Now, where's that relevant in a stage stuff or reverse psychology? We use it with the suggestibility test, verbally. When you say, try to separate your hands, or try to do this, try to do that. The word try is implying that the person won't be able to do it. It's a seed being planted which then very quickly grows, which adds to things. On its own, it's not 100% reliable, the suggestibility test. But with a suggestibility test that's guaranteed, or 90% guaranteed to work anyway, it just adds that little finishing touch to help you make sure it's going to work. And as I said, soon we're going to do suggestibility tests that work every time. So that covers that. Good. That's more like it, speeding on. Which reversed psychology is basically, you'll have seen it termed as the law of reversed effort, which says that when the imagination and the will are in conflict, the imagination will always win. It's exactly what I've just said. Try, try, try. A good example of that is the seed growing, what I said, which is what all therapy is about. It's people that go for job interviews, okay, for example, they might go for a quick pint earlier on, calm the nerves, Dutch courage, and they're sat there and they're thinking to themselves, I hope this interview goes well. I'll try not to mess it up. And then they're telling their friends or their wife, you know, I hope this interview goes well today, I'll try not to mess it up. Which is a suggestion to themselves that it could mess up. By the time they get there, they're a nervous wreck, and then they wonder why they didn't get the job. And they start blaming all outside things. And that's really what, you know, that's the seed being planted. And the reason I'm giving that example is because in therapy, if you plant a seed, it's only got to be something, somebody who doesn't want to smoke anymore. As you'll see when we get to my therapy structure, I do lots of direct suggestions. But if you didn't have much time, and occasionally happens, people have said to me after a show, you know, can you stop me smoking here? It's a noisy environment, but they genuinely want to, so getting them off's no problem, because they really want to stop smoking. But it's so noisy, you've only got a couple of minutes perhaps before your driver's coming to take you home. So you just get straight to the point, put it in, get them under, and just suggest something as simple as every time you see a cigarette packet, the government health warning will now read smoke, chill, death and disease. Each and every time you see the tip of the cigarette, you'll see a number 19 in your mind's eye, reminding you of the 19 deadly poisons in cigarettes, which include arsenic, which will kill you immediately. And you just put 2 or 3 simple things in like that, and the seed will continue growing, because the kind of painful concepts, pictures, ideas, and that will ultimately, over time, become such a painful thing going on in there, the child's head, if you like, that then it becomes painful to continue smoking, and pleasurable not to smoke. So therefore, they end up thinking, bloody hell, it's only a couple of days ago, so I'm not smoking. Because you plant the seed, that's what all hypnosis in a therapeutic content is, just planting the seed. and then becoming familiar with the fact that it's worked, which is where mental rehearsals come in with NLP, this, sports psychology. They get the guys to imagine being at the race, the starting line, and then off and running and feel it, and they're really psyched up in the mind, and they'll actually start sweating and stuff, and winning the race. And they'll rehearse it again and again and again and again. And the cliched sayings, there's one of them that, in that context, regards planting a seed for therapy, is very true. Who was it? It was Emile Coué, I believe, said it. What the mind of man can perceive and believe, he can achieve. So if you've gone through it 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 times a day for so many weeks before that big race, your mind already believes you're a winner. How much better is it to be at the starting line believing you're a winner than thinking you might come second or third? And what people believe, what they convince themselves to believe, or what we plant as a seed and then it grows and germinates into a big tree, is what helps them. The example being, it's all about belief in that sense, which everything's belief. We've used that word hundreds of times today. Roger Bannister, who ran the 3-minute mile. 4 minute, alright, we're a minute out, but you're making him sound good. 4-minute mile, he was the first person to do it, okay? Nobody believed it could be done. Within a few days of Roger Bannister doing that, 2 other people had. Within a week, 20 top athletes had, because they'd seen it was possible. And Roger Bannister said he just believed he was a winner. And he kept that frame set, he planted the seed. So he went, literally, it sounds really artifact, but he had a positive mental attitude. He didn't go to the job interview thinking, I'll try not to mess up. He went thinking, I will win. No ifs, ands, or buts. And when you go on stage as a stage hypnotist, or do group seminars or whatever, you've got to stand up in front of your audience and have that mentality. I am a winner. This will work. No element of doubt, no hesitation, even if the worst possible case scenario is happening. Nobody volunteers, you just keep going till you get somebody. And if you don't, you tell them all to fuck off, and you won't get your money from the barman anyway, or the club, because your contract, when worded right, means you get paid whether anyone volunteers or not. And in therapy, obviously, it's down to helping them. Right, going back to stage, I didn't use some of these ploys today. As I said, I break my own advice, because I have the bottle, the confidence and experience to put myself out of the shit when things go wrong. If you're starting out and doing group stuff, I strongly advise you to use as many of the tricks as possible at the same time. 2 are bad subject ploys. This is very similar to IIC. Intelligence, imagination, concentration, getting them to think that if they don't cooperate, they're going to look stupid. So you get your people on stage, and you've got several there, and you might say to them all, close your eyes or look at the light. And then you'll turn to the audience, and all these people will hear you, remember. And you say, now ladies and gentlemen, we've got a number of people up here, say 8 people, and I can tell you here and now, I'm fairly confident that at least 2 of the people on this stage we're going to lose. I don't think that in this environment we're going to be able to concentrate enough. I'm not going to point them out and embarrass them, because I think it is a bit of a psychological problem they've got, so I'm not going to point them out and embarrass them. Everyone's then thinking, is he referring to me? I don't want to be sent back to the audience now. People think I'm one of the 2 people who've got psychological problems and isn't good enough to be hypnotised. Thus, they're more likely to be cooperative. Okay, when you get people up on stage at the start, this is by way of choosing what induction to use on them. I advise that you shake them by the hand. Now when you shake them by the hand, can you just demonstrate, Chris? If you think of a Masonic handshake, getting down there with your finger, it's actually there or there with whichever level you're at, but that's irrelevant. You touch the palm with your fingers, you shake hands, and you feel how sweaty or clammy the hand is. Thanks, Chris. If their hand is sweaty, then they have, obviously, logic comes in here. If it's a very, very hot room, that's probably why. But if it's a normal environment, the more sweaty the palm is, the more nervous they are about being hypnotised. The more dry it is, the more relaxed they are. Now, the people who are nervous, and this is going to sound Irish, the ones that appear to be nervous with the sweaty palms are the best people to do the shock inductions on. Sleep! Ooh, straight off. Because they're nervous about the idea of being hypnotised as they perceive it, so the sooner you get to the point of saying sleep gives them the excuse just to get on with it. The people who are more relaxed are more likely to be resistant, so you'd want to use more tricks like knackering their eyes up and stuff for longer. When you look at it at first sight, you think it'd be the other way around. People who are nervous you take longer with, but no, the people who are nervous want the excuse to stop being nervous and worried about when it's going to happen. So the sooner you take them out, the sooner it's what they've been thinking, oh, when is it going to happen, what's going to happen? The sooner you get to it, the sooner they stop being nervous. So stage hypnotist, hypnotherapist, hypnotist, full stop. Never break eye contact. Now, I'm working obviously in this room here now, and it's the same as doing an audience. Every so often I'll look down here, up there, around, and I'm looking at different areas all the time. So hopefully that you guys and girls out there will get the impression as the day goes on and the minutes pass by that I'm actually looking at everybody directly. I'm just looking at areas so you get that feeling, okay? That's what you do to make the audience feel as though you're connecting them, engaging them. In a one-to-one therapy or on stage, once you've got the people there, context, never break eye contact with them. I mean, you've got to let them break the eye contact, because people think that hypnosis is about the eyes. They think that you can just look at them and that's what it is. Because they believe that, you play along with it. If you never break eye contact, every time they break eye contact with you, they feel inferior. They feel scared. They feel like you must already be doing something with your eyes to start putting them in a trance, and it all leads them to connect their mind around the idea that they are entering some kind of magical world of hypnosis, and once they engage the mind around the idea, the seed starts to sprout and become stronger, and it makes things easier for you. Now the trick to doing that is quite simply, do not look them in the eye. Look at the bridge of the nose. If you stare directly at the bridge of the person's nose, you will never, ever find yourself thinking, oh, I'm going to break eye contact with them. The person you're looking at, I'm looking at you now at the nose, I'm looking at you at the nose. I'm looking at you, sir, directly at the bridge of your nose, I'm looking at you, sir, I'm looking at you. Now, just answer me honestly, where you were sat there, did it look as though I was looking you in the eyes? Yeah. If you look at the bridge of the nose, you will never need to break eye contact with the person, whether it's on stage or in therapy, and they think it's all to do with the eyes, so give them what they think it is, and you're more likely to get success. Okay, going to a stage environment. You're so close, Chris, come on, where you go. When you've got your punters sat down, okay, you know when we're going across the line in the context of doing a staring at the light induction, and perhaps they've got to the point where they close their eyes, or if they haven't, you can just blatantly say, close your eyes. But then we gently appear to just tap them, and the heads start going forward. Well, if I say Chris sideways on, I'll show you what's really going on there. Cheers, Chris. That's now the audience view. You're seeing greatest magic tricks revealed from the side. That's magician stuff, okay? What happens when you go up is your hand looks as though it just gently taps, and you say, just let your head fall forward. Your thumb here, which is out the sight from the audience at the front, is very gently, it doesn't have to be out, very gently, just pushing. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. And the person's head will go forward. And it looks good to the audience. And because at the same time you're saying, as your heavy head falls forward, just relaxing more, it acts as a suggestion to the person up here, but to the audience it looks as though they're dropping the head down because you've said, as your heavy head falls forward. That's it, you've got those people that got people sat in front of them. Just put your right hand, okay, on the right shoulder of the person in front of you, okay, like so, so it's on the shoulder slightly side, and just take your thumb, point it up behind the neck, and I mean as light as you possibly can, not heavy, really light, and you'll find that people just can't resist moving their head forward. The lighter you do it, the better. If you start putting pressure on, now do it again, but do it hard, and you'll see that people naturally put a resistance on. The lighter you do it, the more result it has. And that then becomes a conditioned response, because when we go up to them, I mean occasionally we go sleep with the fingers, we've anchored them to that. But sometimes we'll go up if they're not a particularly cooperative subject and we really want to embed it in the head. You do what I say when I say. We go up and when we say sleep, literally sleep, I'm pushed with the thumb, but in a smooth movement. So as you're going sleep there, you're pushing forward still lightly, but it's all very fast. So the head goes forward. The audience still believe they're really deep, but there's only cooperative or uncooperative. This person thinks, oh, good God, and starts getting scared, and you condition them more and more. Like they're a complete and utter bastard. But being mildly cooperative, so you think there's potential of them actually becoming a good subject. And if you've not got many volunteers, as will happen at some shows, then you want the volunteers you've got to stay up. Then we can condition them further with a nice bit of good old-fashioned pain. And right, which quite simply, you know, again, it looks like you just gently tap them on the shoulder and say sleep, but you know the funny thing is, if you put your hand on the shoulder of the person in front of your right hand side again, okay, I'll expose, there's a point here where your bone comes in your shoulder. You see where I'm touching? Yeah? If you push your finger in there on somebody hard, it really hurts. Yeah? But this is the interesting bit, and you can do it casually with experience and practice, so it just looks like you're going sleep, but you're actually pushing in the point, okay? Which hurts. But no, get in position on people, pushing them, so it hurts. Now this is the interesting people. The people that are being hurt, which will be all of you, okay? Start to move your head forward onto your chest as though you were entering a so-called trance, and you'll notice the pain disappears. Because as you move your head forward, the tendon that you're pressing on, which causes the pain, moves down, so it's not painful anymore. So very quickly you get them conditioned to the idea that when your hand comes and you're saying sleep, I don't want to feel pain, and if I put my head forward I don't feel any. And the only way I don't look stupid putting my head forward is to keep my eyes closed and look like I'm hypnotised. Thank you, Chris. Good man. Okay, now we're getting down to suggestibility test. I'm actually going to do these on everybody in the room, so you feel what they feel like. 2 people. So first, you wouldn't use all of these at once. I'm going to do them all, so you can feel what the experience like. You'd only use 1, maybe 2 suggestibility tests, or if it was a really nightmare audience, you might use a couple of the daft little ones, and then a couple kind of next level up before you did your induction. But that really is something that you just play by ear, and unfortunately you don't know till you get to a venue what it's going to be like. That's something, I'm afraid, blood, sweat and tears teaches you. There's no way that can be communicated. So okay, everybody in the room, to be hypnotised, so I'm going to do this as well, you're the audience of the show. Okay, everybody, what we need to see which of you here today. I've got good IIC, so we won't bother going through that. What we are going to do is a few little suggestibility exercises. This is not hypnosis, it's not going to hypnotise you, place you in any trance or zombie-like state. We need volunteers for that up here. It just shows me which of you can use your imaginations really well here and now. And it's all about communication hypnosis. I'm going to communicate things to you, and as a hypnotist I get you to do things that I want you to do. So what I'd like each and every person to do out there is place their right hand out in front of them like so, okay? That's brilliant. And then just make a fist, and then make a gun. But please don't shoot me, not yet, anywhere. And make a ring out of it like that. On the count of 3, I want you to do exactly what I say, okay? Exactly what I say, not what I do. What I say, okay? And we're just going to see which of you, what level you're on here. So 1, 2, getting ready for it. On 3, I just want you to touch it to your chin, okay, everybody? We've got, definitely. I'll be honest, there's quite a few people there with it on the cheek. I said touch it to your chin, I said do what I say, not what I do. That's non-verbal suggestion. Okay? So you could you can use that as a way of them. We'll come to that bit after. That's test number 1. I'm going to have to click these. Okay, also there's verbal suggestions that hypnotists use. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to, as a group, I want you to all answer en masse. I'm going to ask you a question, but first of all, I need you all to say out loud, as much as you can, the word silk. S-I-L-K. Come on. Silk. 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 Keep saying it, and I'm going to ask you a question. When I ask you that question, I want you to very quickly answer, very loud and clear. Okay, everybody? What do cows drink? Yeah, you see, some of you said water, which is correct, and a hell of a lot of you said milk, because you took the verbal suggestion you were giving yourself, the word association. Let's try another one similar to that, okay, everyone? Say the word tops, T-O-P-S. Tops! Tops! Quicker, louder! Tops! And the question is, 1, 2, 3. What do you do at a green traffic light? Some of you said stop, some of you said go. Go is the correct answer, but that shows that some of you are easily suggestible to verbal word association and stuff like that. That's wonderful. Okay.
I'll say go.
Hurrah! Yes! I started it. I promised you I'd make you look good before the day was out, didn't I? Oh dear. The arm drop test. I'm not even going to bother demonstrating that because it's a crock of shit. If you've read the Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnosis or some therapists, get them to put the right hand on the finger, count to 3, get them to move the finger away, and the quicker it drops, the more suggestible they are. No, just the more cooperative they are. What I will mention on that point is, Chris, we'll just borrow you again, is you know on stage when you've got the people apparently in trance, and you go along and quite often you see them just lift their hands up and drop them, and they go boom, like a sack of spuds, and everyone thinks, well, he looks like he's well out of it. Dead simple. Even if as long as the person's being compliant on the trance front, when you lift their hand up, you can feel whether or not it's going to drop. But if it feels as though it's going to stay there, this is beautiful. As you go in, you look as though you're holding the hand like that. But in actual fact, you bring that finger back so it goes on top of the hand. So in the space of a few seconds, going up like that to the hand, it looks as though you've just picked it up normally, but in actual fact, one of the fingers is on top. So when you go to let go of the hand, knowing that it's probably going to stay there, you've got one finger on top, and all you need to do is literally flick like that with that one finger as you pull your hand back, and their hand goes boom! And the audience perceive it as that person's well out of it, and obviously you've said, as I lift your hand up, and when I let you drop down, you just go 100 times deeper. And that one is just a simple little flick. But because it's happening so quick amongst everything else, nobody sees. It just looks like you lift it up and let go. You're not. You're putting a finger on top, and that one finger's enough to flick the arm down very quickly. Thank you again, Chris. So that's why I'm not bothering to demonstrate the arm drop test, because the way it's demonstrated in books is neither use nor ornament in the real world of stage hypnosis or therapy, but being able to flick their hand down so it looks to the audience, and also at the same time acts as a suggestion to them to comply even more. Okie dokie, one fingers test. This is a farce. You won't believe people fall for this. Put your hands out in front of you like so. Okay, keep your hands there, just making you look compliant. Just to explain, ring on chin. Basically, there is no secret to that. A large proportion of people, when you say, do what I say, not what I do, and say, just touch it to your chin, and you, as you say, chin, touch it to your cheek, will naturally do that. That is the secret. Some will, some won't. So there's nothing to explain there. The same with the silk, silk, silk. What do cows drink? Milk. Tops, tops, tops. What do you do at green traffic lights? Stop. It won't work on everybody, but when you're doing a group, you're always going to get some, and that starts the laughter as well, which gets everybody nice and relaxed in the audience, okay? Arm drop we've just covered, so yeah, we are to one hand, so everyone, hands out in front of you like that, that's wonderful. What I want you to do is just start rubbing your hands together like that, nice and fast, and as you do, you'll notice, as you start rubbing your hands together, they actually start to get rather warm, don't they? You notice? And then just the moment you start getting warm, I want you to, once they get warm, just clash your hands together like that. That's brilliant. That's everyone, eh? Yeah, everyone's wonderfully suggestible in here. Yeah, right. If you rub your hands together, they get warm anyway. But when you phrase it like that, then very quickly move into the next stage of locking the hands together, they don't have time to think to themselves, hang on, well, if I rub my hands together, they get warm anyway. Because you phrased it as, when your hands get warm, just clamp them together like that, and then suddenly they're seeing everybody clamping their hands together, and it acts as a suggestion to them that everybody's reacting to your suggestions. It's another trick, another pull down the path. So then you've got the hands like that, so his hands tightly closed together, blah de blah de blah. Wonderful. I'm going to count from 3 to 1, suggestibility test, just like inductions, numbers going down. On the count of 1, if you use your powers of intelligence, imagination, concentration, it keeps coming up that phrase, but it helps increase your success rate. You'll find your hands will be stuck fast tight together. Now, the way I did it earlier was suggestion. Okay, just down to see who's compliant. But there's an even better way, which we'll do now. So each and every one of you, where you are, what I want you to do, hands together tightly, okay? Squeeze them together, really, really tight. Wonderful, and then push them away from you like that. Stare at the back of your knuckles, stare at the back of your hands, staring directly at the back of your hands, and push your hands above your head like that. And all you push it towards the sky, towards the rainbow. And on the count of 1, if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, your hands will be stuck fast tight until I clap my hands. 3, tighter and stiffer with each second that passes by. 2, Loctite glue, 1, well cemented together, arty-farty, whatever you want to say. And number 1, keep pushing high towards the sky, towards the rainbow at all times. And as you keep pushing high towards the sky, towards the rainbow, just try and separate your hands. Keep pushing high, and the more you push up high towards the sky, the more you try, the more to stick. Get tighter and stiff, high towards the sky, now separate, 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 get on, separate, 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 separate. Wonderful. That was the majority of the room, which it normally is. Purely and simply, the wording is all important there at the end. Just so long as you keep pushing high up towards the sky. What you're basically saying, decoded fashion, is keep pushing your hands in the air, because as long as you keep pushing your hands in the air, it's physically impossible to separate your hands because of the position they're in and the fact your fingers are pushing up on the back of your hands, and it makes it pretty much physically impossible, the more they're pushing up. So that, you know, the majority of the audience has just happened there, will find the hands locked together and therefore come to believe that your suggestions made that happen. And the moment they believe it happened because of your suggestions, then that next step down the line to being hypnotised as such. And as you can see, all of these can quite easily be used in group demo situations. I actually also use the locked hands, as you'll see either later today or tomorrow, as part of my initial for the therapy sessions. Because it works, it's as simple as that. It's a trick. So that's the fingers, where are we? Guaranteed hand clasp, above the head. There's another way of doing that. If some people have got health problems or sore shoulders and they can't get up in the air, okay? Just try this one, everyone. Put your hands like that. Turn your hands away from you like you did before, but this time put them on top of your head. Okay, now when I say try and separate your hands, I want you to be pushing down on your head with your hands, really pushing down on your head, and try and separate your hands. Pushing down on your head, but try and separate your hands. Pushing down on your head, the more you try, the more the stick, get tighter, stiffer, pushing down on your head. And then you can separate, and the only reason they then separate is because I've stopped saying pull down on your head. And what your head's doing is pushing your hands up into that same position they would be if you were pushing them up in the air. So you've got the exact same position, but it looks like a completely different technique. You can, if you want, just have them straight out in front of them and get them to stare at the back of the knuckles. And as long as they keep pushing out towards them, as though they're trying to push a wall, so in a nice way you're saying well away from you, then again you've got that same situation where it's practically impossible to separate the hands. Right, where are we there? That was on the head, away from self. Wonderful. Another great one is say to everybody, right, we're just going to do an experiment to see which of you would be good hypnotic subjects in here, if you were to volunteer, obviously. But where you are in the audience, everyone put their hands out in front of them like that. Wonderful, interlock your fingers of the left hand against the back of the right hand, palms pressed tightly together, thumbs down on top, and put your 2 forefingers out like that. That's wonderful. Just separate them about 1 inch, okay? That's wonderful. And everyone look directly at me, because I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, you'll find that your fingers will be locked, glued, well cemented together. As on 3, it's almost as low as magnets on the tips of your fingers, drawing, pulling, attracting them together, getting closer with every breath that you take. Every noise that you hear, and every word that I say is on 2, getting closer and closer. You can resist, but go with it. When you feel your fingers going, just let them go. And on 1, getting closer and closer and closer. Now, be honest, I can see the majority of you, those whose fingertips are now actually touching. Right now, put them in the air. Put them in the air. Those of you whose fingers, the majority of the room, yet again. The reason is quite simple. If you put your hands out in front of you like that, everybody, So you see what it feels like. Separate them about an inch, inch and a half. Looking at me is a non-verbal. Can I start moving my fingers together to give the suggestion of yours will? Well, basically, if I talk any old waffle for about a minute, after about a minute, your fingers naturally come to the point where your fingertips are touching. It's got nothing to do with suggestion. But because we've given them the suggestions, when it happens, the people again believe it's because we suggested stuff, so therefore they come to believe that the next thing we suggest to them will happen, and they just become more compliant, more cooperative, and have even more belief in what we're doing. Okay, that was fingers closing. All of these are on the videos and all the stuff you take away with you, by the way, detailed step by step. Great one. A lot of training courses fuck up the explanation of this one. Okay? The light and heavy hands, a lot of you have probably heard about this in therapy. Some major mistakes get made in the explanation of it. There's an easy way and a hard way to do this. The hard way will still work, but really does rely on people being compliant. The easy way, which is the one that I'm obviously going to teach you, relies on physiology of the body and tricks that are guaranteed to work. So what I'd like everybody to do is place their hands out in front of them like that, arms outstretched. That's wonderful. And take your left hand and turn it palm upwards, keeping your right hand face down. And each and every one of you just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that tied to the middle ring finger of your right hand is a very light helium blue tied to the middle ring finger of your right hand. And I want you to imagine that on the palm of your left hand is a pile of leather-bound library books, very heavy leather-bound library books. And as you realise this in your mind, turn up the volume, turn up the sound, you realise that on your left hand that pile of leather-bound library books that's so heavy is getting heavier and pushing your hand down, and that the helium blue connected to the ring finger of your right hand is rising up higher and higher into the air with every breath you take. So on 3, getting further to those leather-bound library books on your left hand, going lower, heavier, pushing your hand down, and the helium blue tied to the middle finger of your right hand, pulling up into the air, higher and higher. And what I'd like each and everyone to do now is just open your eyes, look out in front of you, and notice that your hands have actually started to move apart, some more than others, some really good, some so-so. And that shows me, and should show yourself, that the idea of getting a suggestion in your mind actually makes things happen to your body. That's all we do as hypnotists. Now that's the way I put it across to the punters, you understand, you know, the fact that that happened to you, which means that you're going to be a good hypnotic subject, that phrase, which means that you do something, and then when it's shown to have worked to a greater or lesser degree, which means that you're going to be a really good hypnotist. Because they think, oh, well, yeah, because so far everything is suggested been happening. The truth of the matter is, and this is where some of the books bugger up on the explanation. There's so many books out there saying do light and heavy hands and put your hands out both face down or both face up. If they're both the same way, after a length of time, yes, a difference may occur. But if one is one way and one the other, your arms feel different. Put your hands out, palms up, okay, and feel what that feels like, yeah? Now turn them face down, feel what that feels like. Now turn your left hand face up, and notice how the left hand does actually feel, the arm, the way it's outstretched, different. If anything, a tiny little bit painful compared to that arm. So therefore, how do you stop the pain? Lower the left arm. It doesn't matter if the right arm moves or not, as long as the left arm does, because then there will still be a difference when they look at the hands afterwards. The rest is suggestion to make it look like you're doing hypnosis, and so that you don't bugger up, because the keys I used to remember it is left hand, palm up, because it's got to have the library books on it flat, that's why, it's got to be flat. And it's the left hand and their leather-bound library books. Left hand, leather-bound library books, pushing your hand lower, all the letter L. And for the right hand, so you don't get confused on the hands, it's a helium blue rising into the air, connected to the ring finger of your right hand. It's a little memory aid there to help you remember and make sure you get your palms the right way. But basically, it just works. It's a physical trick. Where are we now? Good. back to right at the start of the day when I did the locked hands version that we did there, that was heavily reliant on suggestion. And just basically hoping to get compliant people. Although, having said that, if you put your hands like that, everybody, okay? It's very much down to the wording, but it's so subtle that, unfortunately, it's that subtle to get away with saying it so the audience don't think it's a scam, that it doesn't have quite as much effect as it would be nice if it did. So when you're saying squeeze your hands together really tight, and you're saying keep believing in everything I've said, keep doing everything I've said, you're subtly saying there, which some people will pick up on, keep pushing your hands together. Now if they're pushing the hands together, they'll be pushing the palms together. Now if you're pushing your palms together there, when you go to try and separate your hands, at your knuckles point, they start to knock on each other as long as you're pushing your palms at the bottom together. And that's all that version of the test does. It selects out the people that have took you literally at your word when you've said, carry on doing everything I've said. Because that included pushing your hands together. And if they push their hands together, so they're really pushing them there, then it makes the knuckles knock together enough so they think, oh, I'll stop trying. Because otherwise it'll hurt. But it isn't fail-safe, that one. You're far better off if you're going to do a group demo, so you've got real confidence in yourself, using either above the head, on the head, or out in front, because that's guaranteed that at least 90% or more of the room that's happened before will find the hands kind of locked together. It's locked hand suggestion. If you're doing group demos, I wouldn't use these on stage, but group demos, it can be quite as simple as explaining to people, you know, hypnosis, and remember, I'm not contradicting myself here, this is the blurb we tell the punters, so it's in keeping with their misconceptions, okay? Because, you know, an example of how hypnosis works is pure suggestion. So, for example, I just want you to imagine I've got a lovely lemon now, we're just going to cut it in half like that. I'm just going to cut the lemon in half, I'm just going to take half that lovely juicy lemon. Oh, it's lovely juicy that lemon, just looking at the lemon. I'm just going to take a lovely bite out of that. Juice, oh, it's running down the lip, that lovely, juicy, delicious lemon. Who can whistle in here? Who can whistle happy birthday or something? Start whistling happy birthday, those people that can whistle. That's brilliant. As you do, just think that, lovely, lemon. It's so horrible. Just imagine it running down your throat. No, it's getting really dry now, just feel it. Sooner or later, people will shut up, otherwise you just tell them to an end. But most of them, now that is pure suggestion, if you like. But it isn't, because all you're doing, you're conjuring up a mental image. We said about getting the mind to engage on one thought, yeah, the seed planting and growing. If you think of something sour and horrible, your mouth goes dry. So they stop whistling. If you do that on a full audience, or 100 people in a pub, especially if you've got a real lemon with you, it's better if you've got a real lemon, you know, let it really drip down your face. In no time, the audience will start going quiet. And as it's going quiet, some of the other people who can still actually whistle will shut up, looking in disbelief at the other people. But then everyone comes to believe that those other people that have just shut up have also reacted correctly, okay? So they shut up thinking, bloody hell, and everyone believes that everyone else has shut up because it worked correctly for them. So they're all effectively hypnotising each other, as such. It's a dual reality thing going on. The same with the itching. You can be talking at the start and say, isn't it strange when you get an idea sometimes when you're young, perhaps that you've got nits, you know, you get, it's terrible, that thought that you get that suggestion at school that the kid next to you, you sit next to him in the class has got nits, and that you go home and you're really itchy, or you've been on the beach where there's ants and you get, it feels like one's gone up your leg. Now I can see for a start, there's a few other people that are. All I'm doing is painting a picture with my words, what I said about this morning. So you grasp your mind around that idea and therefore it becomes action. Okay? It's the same with the other thing, at the beginning yourself, so I've been up all night. I'm really late, but I'm sorry, I don't know, but I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry. No, I'll try again, I'm real sorry about this. So I won't stay out late tonight, I'll be up bright and early tomorrow, don't worry. That's better. Right, as I was saying, now one or two of you have already yawned, and whether you like it or not, one or two more of you will over the next couple of minutes, because but you already know that yawning's infectious. But if you do that and attach wording to it at the end of it, and you say, oh, look at that, when you start seeing people yawn, even if it's not for 5 minutes after when they all start yawning and set each other off, because when one does it, the person next to them sees that, and so on. Then you can just short it. Isn't it funny how you're all yawning? I planted that suggestion in your mind with hypnosis earlier. So you see, I can even hypnotise you when you sat in the audience, and you put it into them, oh my God, yes, he did. So they're coming to believe again that something occurred. I need a willing guinea pig who hasn't got any back problems. And no, we're not doing catalepsy yet. So don't worry about that. But I need a willing volunteer who hasn't got hip problems, actually, because you need to be able to rotate well at your hips. Or an unwilling volunteer, even. Preferably one or two of you, because I need the people to come up here as, alright, we'll do it the hard way then, everyone stand up. That's the lot of you then. You see, one of you don't volunteer, you all do it where you are. Lovely, isn't it? Everyone stand up, up in the air. Everybody, today, that's wonderful if you actually want to learn how to do this stuff. Wonderful. Right hand out in front, it's a lot easier when I've got one person up here doing it, but I have to do it this way. Right hand out in front of you, straight out in front. Hand in a fist, about shoulder level, straight out in front of you, thumb stuck up, stare directly at your thumb, okay everybody? I'm going to count to 3, I want you to keep your feet together on the floor, okay? And do not move your feet from now on, keep your feet where they are. On the count of 3, and only on the count of 3, everyone look at me for a second, but on the count of 3 I'm going to ask you to, I'll say move now, and on 3 you're going to move your right thumb in a right hand direction, keeping your feet together, moving at your hip, following your thumb with your eyes and going as far as you can until it becomes painful. At that very moment it feels like it's going to become painful, I want you to stop, because I don't want anyone hurting themselves, okay? So looking at your thumb, 1, 2, 3, move, moving your thumb, following it with your eyes, looking at it, keeping it your feet where they are, moving your thumb, and stopping when it gets painful or feels a little bit painful as though it could get painful. Okay? Everybody where you are, look past your thumbs where they are now and remember the point that's in the distance. Something that's a sign and a signal to you that that's how far you got to, okay? And having done that, bring your thumbs back, following them with your eyes to the front. And everyone just close your eyes right down now and just imagine in your mind's eye. Just imagine doing that again, keeping your hand out in front of you with your eyes closed. Just imagine doing it again, only this time realising something you once thought would be so difficult in life becomes so ridiculously easy. Notice this time in your mind's eye, imagine it. Do a mental rehearsal as though you're moving your thumb and following it with your eyes, and you're getting further and further and further this time in your mind's eye, to the point where you got last time, except you're going further, you're pushing the limits, because you're a no-limits person. You're going further and further and further in your mind's eye, and you feel no discomfort whatsoever in your mind's eye, and you're going so far it's amazing, looking at the background in your mind's eye and seeing that you can now see something you couldn't see before, which proves to you that you have moved much further and changed your whole life immediately, because that proves to you you can use your mind to change things in your life. So each and every one of you, open your eyes, stare directly at your thumb, keeping your feet together, and just look at your thumb, and 1, 2, 3, moving to the right, going further and further and further and further. You can feel yourself going further and further and further and further and further and further, and wonderful. That's it. I think every one of you will find that you've gone a lot further than you did the first time. Give yourselves all a round of applause. Just sit down. Was there anybody who didn't go further? Just you. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. 90, it works. 99.9% of people.
I must admit I've got L4 and L5 shot in my back, so I've got pretty right.
Ah, right, well, that could have something to do with it. Basically, you want an explanation now of how it works, don't you? Yeah, it'd be nice. I haven't a bloody clue.
The muscles have been stretched the first time.
Well, yeah. But the actual definition of, well, that's the closest I was going to get, a stretching exercise. But the way it's presented, they see for themselves, oh my God, I've gone further. And because you've already said this time, you'll notice how much further you've gone. If you wanted, you could anchor that, attach it to the suggestion of the seed to be planted, that in a few moments' time, what you've just achieved in your mind is going to become reality. And when you realise that's genuinely become reality in your life, here and now, in the space of a couple of minutes, that will prove to you 100% that the work we're going to do together in this hypnotherapy session will be beneficial for you and help you achieve what you want to achieve. And then you do that, and they go, oh my God. And as they're going further, you go, you see, you managed that so easily. You're practically a non-smoker already. And it's such a big visual thing to themselves that, well, I felt it happened to me. If you do exactly what I did the way I did it, say it the way I said it, you basically just get them to it the first time, ow, flip chart stand, well, quite a bit further. It will just work with 99% of people. There is no more explanation to that one. Lovely. Okay. I'm trying to think how to do this with everybody. Everybody, each and every one of you, what I'd like you to do is close your eyes, okay? Where you are, just close your eyes. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count to 1, if you concentrate, which I'm sure you will, you'll find that your hands will be, no, your hands won't be, your eyelids will be locked, glued, welded, cemented together. That's even better. If you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, as I'm sure you will, you'll find that on the count of 1, your eyes will be locked, glued, welded, cemented together. I'm only actually going to be physically talking to you if I indicate that I'm talking to everybody, i.e. if I say all the girls, or if I say all the men. Otherwise, I'm only talking to people if I directly touch them on the head, okay? So, we're going to just have a little bit of a walk round here. We'll go to the gentleman at the round here, keeping your eyes tightly closed. The gentleman I'm now touching, everyone else keeping their eyes closed, finding them getting tighter and stiffer. The gentleman I'm now touching, I'm touching your forehead. As I do, each and every one of you in the room, I want you keeping your eyes closed to imagine in the top of your head, the top of your forehead, where your hairline joins your top of your forehead, that you've got a hole in your head, okay? A little hole, a little tiny hole, and through this a bright white light is coming in through the little tiny hole. I want you to see that brightly and clearly, okay? Everybody see that, believe that as on 3. Eyes getting locked, glued, welded, cemented together. 2, I want you to imagine, it's almost as though your eyeballs feel they must look up at this hole. You've got to stare through the hole of where you imagine, in your case, where my fingertip is, everyone else, at the top of your forehead, almost where the hole is. Everyone see that, feel that, believe that. And if you keep staring at all times intently at that hole in your head, see the white bright light coming in, keep staring up at all times at the hole in your head, and as you keep staring up, just try and open your eyes, but keep staring at that hole in your head. Keep staring at the hole in your head, and notice that your eyes are locked, well cemented together. Just keep staring at it. Everyone, 1, 2, 3, can open your eyes. Now I couldn't see people at the front there. Well, I've had a lesser success rate on that, probably because of the way I've just done it, but right, those people who found it hard to open their eyes, put their hands up, because then we need to, alright, okay, the majority of people. Where you are now, I've got to do this again so you see what it feels like when you're doing one-to-one, which is how you would do it on your people before an induction. Take your own fingertip, and I can't physically come round you, well I could, but we'll be here for an hour and a half just doing this one thing. Place it on the top of your forehead, so it's there, pretty much there. Close your eyes, but stare up with your eyeballs to the place where your fingertip is, okay? So you're actually looking up with your eyeballs. Now, as long as you keep your eyeballs looking up there, they're in the position they are when you go to sleep at night. As long as you keep looking, hence the phrase, keep looking at the hole in your head where the white light's coming in. As long as they keep looking up, they can't open their eyes. So if you try, if you keep looking up with your eyes, but try and open your eyelids at the same time, it just physically can't be done. It's an impossibility, because that's the position your eyeballs go into at night when you go to sleep. But again, presented in that manner, which means that you're a good hypnotic subject. Wonderful. And that's the guaranteed dialogue method, which means that you're all great hypnotic subjects. That means that your next step would be to actually do the inductions on them. Lovely jubbly. Oh dear, you knew full well I was looking at your neck and I need a volunteer to demonstrate how, didn't you? And because you're tall, you're actually a good volunteer for this. The induction we did earlier is known as the falling backwards. I'm basically going to quickly go through all these inductions. and explain what is going on. At a certain point, I'm going to ask you where you are to stand up and do certain things. You know how we did earlier where I said, just see how, if you do it gently, pushing on the neck, the gentler it is, the better the head moves forward. We're going to do it like that so you get a feel of it, okay? But as I said, everything here is actually on all the videos. You can watch it in in-depth detail, close-up. That's where I'm going to bump my foot, that's where I'm going to bump my finger. You can get a guinea pig and try it on them and say, look, did that feel too heavy? Would that put you off? Or the light touch works with this stuff. So falling backwards, we're assuming you've done your advertising, you've done your intro, you've done your conditioning, you've done your suggestibility test, you've done all that. We've covered all that, you're now at the point of putting them under. Needless to say that you would use, first of all, the first person you would do an induction on will be the person who appeared to be cooperating most, the one who's most likely to go under. And the point of the suggestibility test, apart from being convincers, is that your people in the audience who've like perhaps gone mega way, as opposed to there, if you get one of the mega way on stage, they're themselves likely to be more of a state of mind to be cooperative because it's a mega way to themselves. So you'd use them first because they'll go quicker. If you don't get your first subject to look like they're in a hypnotic trance, what people perceive it to be, within the first few seconds, you're fucked. Because nobody else...
Is that a technical term?
Yeah, it is. Unless, I mean, when you're doing your first few shows, I mean that in the context of, you will be buggered. Because then everyone else will think, didn't work on him, it's not going to work on me. And you've done all the work you've done of getting them to believe everything every step of the way. Now, if you're very experienced, some people did come along last night, saw a very similar thing to that happen with Chris, where basically hardly anyone volunteered initially, and then the one or two that did basically came out of it. As the true pro is and the trooper, he turned the show around, finished the show, started again in about half an hour, and ended up with several people on stage, very compliant, very cooperative, doing stuff, gave the show, got paid, very happy, rebooked. But that is not something, however much training you do, that you're going to be capable of in the first show you do, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. Until you've died on your ass at least half a dozen times, had the blood, sweat and tears, which will give you the motivation to turn it around. And it's not something I can teach you, that element. That's just something that comes from within. You think, instead of giving up, you go about it a different way, you transmit your confidence that I don't give a shit. Well, stop, I'll go to the bar, I'll get a drink because I'm getting paid anyway, but I will come back in half an hour and see if anyone actually wants to take this seriously and volunteer for Hypnosis Squad. And sure enough, you'll be in the bar having a drink and people will start coming to you because they want to see you show, you've shocked them. Oh, bloody hell. Right, falling backwards induction. This way, sir? Now I'm doing all these sideways on now so you can see what the heck I'm doing. If you're doing it on stage, remember, you should never turn your back on the audience. Now, as a hypnotist, that's irrelevant. In show business, that's the general rule. As a hypnotist, you've got to, because you've got to keep keeping a bloody eye on these people to make sure they're keeping their eyes closed, and not every time you turn your back going, ah, and then making you look daft. Okay, so I'm doing it sideways on. Normally, it will be face to you guys, but it will go something like, okay, feet together, hands by your side, tilt your head well back, close your eyes, nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. I'm going to count to 1. You'll feel yourself falling gently backwards into my arms. I won't let you fall and hurt yourself. You just fall into a beautifully relaxing sleep-like state. As on 3, as I tap you on the back, it's just a sign and a signal to relax completely. 2, feel yourself falling gently backwards. Nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. 1, falling back. Sleep deeper. Sorry, my knee in the way there. Yeah, back up again because we'll be doing it. We've got a few more yet. Right. The key points here is ultimately, stand up Chris, feet together, well if the feet are together, you're going feet together, but as you do it, you kick them together because you're taking control, you're being dominant. One foot goes flat against the back of their feet. Essentially now you don't need hardly any pressure, but they'll act as a pivot and would fall over because you've got firmly flat against the back of the feet. Your hand comes round and says, head well back. And you use one finger, which is going there just above the bridge of the nose, head well back. But it looks like I'm using my full hand because I'm masking it by having the other fingers there. Really, it's only one finger, but I don't want people to suss that. Then my other hand comes round and I'm tapping left and right, which is knocking him off balance, wiggling around, making him more likely to fall over. And here's the beautiful bit, nice deep breath in and out will make him start to feel dizzy, because your head in that position, we'll get you doing it in a minute. And as I'm counting 3 to 1, I'm very, and I mean very, very, very gently, so gently, sorry, I can stand up for a second, so gently, it's hardly feelable, very, very gently, pull, not even pulling, trailing my finger back towards the back of the head. So it's timed so that as I say, I'm one, falling back, 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 the finger falls off, and it's then my arm can come down to catch Chris. So what I want you to do is everyone stand up. Okay. And basically, the people in front of you, you guys at the back, we're going to have to get you second row in front of you to turn around and do it the other way in a minute. I just want you to take whichever hand you feel comfortable with. You can do this either way, depending on whether you're right or left-handed. Just take your middle finger with one of your hands, and the person that's in front of you, just get them to tilt the head back towards you. Put your middle finger tip, the tip of your middle finger, just above where their nose is. And I mean, right, okay, well, you've got your chairs behind you, so you're not going to fall. Don't do it hard. The lighter you do it, the better. Gently trail, and I mean gently trail. Really gently trail. The head's going to be tilted back already. See, the more gentle it is, the more effective. You've already got to have your head tilted back, so you say head well back, and you start just above the nose, about here, and ever so gently trail, so he's just barely touching the skin. And you can see your head start to move, right? Okay, you'll have a chance in the coffee break to try that on each other. But the more gentle you do it, you can all have a seat now, the more gently you move your finger, the more effect it has. People think it's all about going and pulling them. It's not. The more gentle it is, the person themselves doesn't realise it's happening. So when you suddenly go 3, 2, 1, you're falling back, 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 sleep, to get to a point of no return, where you've got your foot against the back of their feet, and you've got the head back, and their eyes are closed, and they're really disorientated, and the fingers gently going back, and they're moving a bit, but your hand, the other one that's knocking them, is keeping them upright, stood up, so they don't realise they're moving further back. So when you suddenly take that hand away, they've already gone over the balance points, they start falling. As you're saying, they're falling back, 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 sleep. It's too late for them to recover, and they think, look at me, I'm hypnotised, because I'm falling back. It's simpler. So when it's all put together, those separate bits, feet together, foot against the back of the feet, tilt your head well back, and that's when you do it hard. You pull the head back with your finger at the top, but the moment you've got them so the head's well back and they're almost off balance, that's when the rest of it is as gentle as possibly can be. The gentler the better. You're tapping them, knocking them off balance here. They're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, making them feel dizzy. You're speaking so fast, it's like, what the hell's going on? They're on stage, which they're not used to being on stage, so it's a strange dynamic to them. You're forceful and loud in the rear. You put it all together and you get, you sir, that's wonderful, volunteer, just stand there, that's wonderful. Feet together, hands by side, tilt your head well back, close your eyes, nice deep breath in, 3 nose, and out 3 mouth. I'm going to count from 3 to 1 on the count 1, you'll feel yourself falling gently backwards. I won't let you fall and hurt yourself, you just fall into a beautiful sleep, right, stay. 3. As I tap you on the back, it's a sign, a signal to relax. 2, deeper, and 1, falling back, 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 back. Sleep, deeper, and up you get, Chris. And they just get to a point of no return. It's pure and utter simple physics. Excuse me. Pure and utter simple physics and trickery. Yes, when you say they're going to feel a bit dizzy, with their head in that position tilted back with their eyes closed, breathing in and out, and you're talking fast to them, of course they're going to feel a bit dizzy and strange. When you're tapping them on the back, that's making it worse because they're losing the balance. They're generally on a stage which is quite warm, even here's warm with just these lights here, and that warmth with their eyes closed, to feel the warmth, to feel that. Even with your eyes closed, you still see a bit of stage light, because stage lights are tremendously powerful. And that's all really weird. So that you can imagine it, poor geezer just got up and suddenly, next thing he's falling to the floor and the lights everywhere and his breathing's gone funny and it feels really weird. And because it feels really weird, people think it's because you've suggested they're going to fall back. So they come to believe that therefore the fact that they have done, they must be hypnotised. So again, they become even more compliant. That's the falling backwards induction. Falling forwards, which is the same thing in reverse. I'm not actually going to do it on you, mate, purely and simply because my back's a bit buggered. But feet together. I'll take Chris to the point where he falls towards me. I'm not going to lie him on the floor, because when you do that bit, you catch them like that, but as they're falling, you literally turn them so they end up lying on the back. And my back's not in the best of states at the minute. Yours isn't anymore. Thank you, Chris. You volunteered entirely at your own risk. Okay, but for the falling forwards, you say feet together, hands by your side. I want you to look directly in my eyes, okay? I'm just going to put my fingers there at the side of your temples. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, when I say sleep and tap you there like that, you just fall towards me, your eyes will instantly close, and you'll enter hypnosis. 3. Keep looking at my eyes. Nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. The deeper you go, the better you feel. 2. You feel yourself falling gently forwards towards me. Don't resist. You can feel yourself falling gently forwards. And 1 closely. Yeah, we did stop yourself there purposely, didn't you, Chris? Right, then you would twist them and lie them down if your back's up to it. Everybody stand up, but face the person with each other, you know. I want you to see, the key thing there is the feet are together. You make sure their feet are together. You make sure their feet are together, okay? And you put your fingers, 2 fingertips like this, everyone, yeah? At the side of the temples, okay? So you're almost got the tip of your fingers above where the ears are. And then as you're counting 3 to 1, you gently, and it's gently but firmly, gently trail your fingers towards yourself, okay? And that in itself pulls them towards you. But combined with that, okay, just everyone have a little go at that. Alright, somebody's falling over here.
You just kind of move your body back.
Yeah, really gentle.
Alex, you move your body back. You move your body back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if everyone just takes a minute so you can see the front again. There's one extra bit to that, but you just get the idea that with the fingers at the side, it gently brings them towards you. The other thing is keeping your eye level at exactly the same level as theirs. Which now, if you just stand up, Chris, everyone take a seat a sec. So the key point number 1 with that is really gentle but firm. Now if I do that normally, he's going to start moving his head as he is doing that way. But now it's obvious my eyes aren't at the same level. He'll be aware of that. So what I'm doing with my leg, if you notice, is as I'm bringing him towards me gently, I'm lowering myself down, so my eye level remains at the same level with Chris, so he's not aware that he's moving forward. Because it looks to him as though I'm still at the same level. So when it comes to that point and you walk into them sleep or whatever, they fall and they reach that point of no return again before they realise they've reached the point of no return.
How do you stop them taking a foot forward? I understand when they're going backwards,
right.
Foot's behind them.
You can 2 ways. You can either walk into them, so when you've got the gentle bit and you keep going down, as they get to the point of no return, you can either walk straight into them and go to sleep and perch them with your body, okay, and then do your post-hypnotic, or if your back's up to it, as they come forward and they get to the point of no return, straight under their armpits, and literally as they're falling forward, you just rotate them onto the back and cushion the fall. But that really buggers your back up. Not theirs, yours, right? So that's why I don't do it that way, but I'm just teaching that. To be honest, I wouldn't even really advise you using that particular induction. It's nice for you to know all the gentle things like that. when put across as low, you're going to feel yourself falling forwards, and then they do. Again, they come to believe that that's because you suggested it. It's not really, it's because you kept the eye level and the gentleman, but they come to believe it, so it's easier to carry on going with everything, okay? So I mentioned that purely and simply because then if you want to create your own inductions, you want to devise your own, you can sit down and think, well, hang on, if I do that gently, the head will start moving back. If I do that, and you can come up with your own type of things based on the fact that, yeah, it's just about the way you put it across and say, you know, in a moment, few moments' time, such and such is going to happen. So it looks like a suggestion based on the fact that, you know, 99% of people will react that way because it's a natural thing that occurs. Eyes glued together induction. The eye lock that we did earlier. So the way you demonstrate it, you say, okay, so feet on the floor, hands upturned in your lap. I mean, that's a lot of bullshit. Body language, if you put your hands upturned in your lap, it's supposed to make you submissive. So therefore, you're more open and relaxed. It's crap. But, a lot of people believe the body language crap they bought from W.H. Smith's and all that. So if you do it, again, you're tying in with what they believe to be true, okay? Same with the feet on the floor, it doesn't really matter an iota if the legs are across the wall. But by telling them to do something, again, and instructing them, ordering them to do it, we're bombarding them with so many things to do from the moment they step foot on the stage that it just becomes so much easier to do everything without questioning it. And then you'd say, okay, just close your eyes, sir. And to cut a long story short, you do all your blurb about counting from 3 to 1. Well, then your microphone can be touched to the head or your finger. You get them to stare at the point, looking up at all times, saying, look, there's a triangle pointing to your head, see the hole in your head, nice deep breath in and all that crap. And then you're saying, try and open your eyes. And they can't, as long as they're looking at the point and you're wiggling your finger. And the moment they can't, you say, that's wonderful. Nice deep breath in. And we use our old friend, the thumb ploy, just to push his head gently down and sleep, keeping your eyes tightly closed at all times. Now, we used that as a suggestibility test before, but it's actually a very effective induction because when they go, I can't open my eyes, well, that's what they're thinking in their head. And then you take the mind off that and go, nice deep breath in, and then suddenly they feel their head going forward because the gentle thumb technique we covered earlier. Suddenly they feel, I couldn't open my eyes, and now my head's against my chest. Oh, I'm hypnotised. Ah, I must be. So that's what they believe to be the case. And so they just carry on with it, and then you're very quickly not giving them any time to think, because then you're straight into your eyes remain closed at all times. You use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. So you've got that in very quickly, so that they think, if they do for 1 minute, 1 second think, I might open my eyes in a minute, and make him look at think, no, I bet not. You're covering yourself from all angles, okay? Eyes glued together. Locked hands over face style. I love this induction. This is a really, really nice one. Stand up, Chris. You do the locked hands on them up on stage in front of the chairs, okay? You get them stood there. You move them around a bit. When you get the subjects up, if you keep moving them around, saying, no, I think you should stand there, you stand over there and switch them around. It looks ritualistic. It looks like you're moving the people around for a reason. So if you appear to be doing something for a reason, people come to believe that that is all part of becoming hypnotised, that you know what you're doing. An example of that being, I don't know if anyone is into black magic, white magic, anything like that, ritual magic. If it's something I've studied, you want to be a good hypnotist, I'd suggest you get a few books on black magic. Because the more they do all these rituals, satanic rituals are the best example, you've got such a ritual and a build-up and music and an atmosphere to everything, to essentially at the end of it burn a few candles or whatever, right? And then say an affirmation 3 times, which essentially self-hypnosis. But you've got such a build-up, such a ritual to things, that it seems important. So people think this is so important. Oh, that herb's got to be sprinkled there now, and then he's got to anoint that candle before we light it. There's got to be that one before that. Then we've got to ring the bell. And the fixation of attention's on doing all this. So when you get to the end of it all and suddenly say that, you know, I will do this and I will do this 3 times, of course it's going to go directly into the flipping subconscious, or have an effect on them where they believe something special's took place. Because just spent an hour and a half in town buying all the stuff. They spent another hour setting it up, half an hour, you know. It's all about looking like you're doing rituals. Right, locked hands over the face, hands out in front of your legs, wonderful. So hands out together. You can do this on a row of people at once. It's better with a row because it looks really good. And as I said before, once one closes their eyes and looks like they're complying, going to sleep, the next one will go even easier. So I say hands out away from you like that, up above your head, and we do the guaranteed to work locked hands, but we get them to stare at the back of the hands. So stare at the back of your hands. We do it to the point where, as you keep pushing out towards the sky, towards the rainbow, try and separate your hands. The more you try, the more they stick. And then as you can see they're trying it, you go over, get your hand in the position for the gentle thumb movement, hold on to the wrist and say, just keep staring at the back of your hands as I lower your hands down. You'll just find it so much easier to let your head fall forward, which I'm pushing with my thumb, and let your eyes close down as you keep staring at the back of your hands. It's so much easier, just let yourself go, eyes remain tightly closed at all times. Right, it does two things. The thumb is pushing the head forward, the hands lock and it's guaranteed to lock, and when you're bringing them down, just stare at the back of your hands again, Chris, when you're bringing them down, as you're saying your head's going to go down as you follow your hands, well if they're following the hands, of course they're going to follow it with their eyes, and that puts the head down, plus your thumb's doing it. But as they keep staring at the hands, once they reach a certain point and the head's going down, which you're making sure of with the thumb, the only way they can keep looking at the hands is to let the eyelids go down further, to point their eyes down to look at the hands, to a point where they're practically closed. So when you say I'm just keeping your eyes tightly closed, that acts as the final, basically shut them that final bit, where, by which time most people have anyway, because they think, oh shit, my eyes are closing, I may as well go, because I'm becoming hypnotised. And again, they become compact. Yeah, you can separate your hands, mate. Wonderful. Right, okay, we're going to have a quick 10-minute coffee break for 20 minutes. I'll see you back here in half an hour at 4:30. And then we'll crack on with the rest of the other inductions, okay, and stuff, because we've got shed loads of stuff to get on with later on. Thank you.